He was there one moment, laughing and playing on a quiet stretch of land that had seen generations of family life. And then, without warning, he was gone. A child vanished into the vast Australian landscape, leaving behind silence, fear, and a mystery that would grip an entire nation. Before we go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you can get first-hand updates on this story and other major developments as they unfold. Gus Lamont's disappearance began on what should have been an ordinary day in the Australian Outback. The young boy was visiting his grandparents at their remote sheep station in South Australia, a place defined by wide-open land, dusty tracks, and an almost overwhelming sense of isolation. For families living in these regions, children often grow up with a level of freedom rarely seen elsewhere, spending their days outdoors and learning to navigate the land around them. On that day, Gus was doing exactly that, playing near the homestead in what everyone believed was a familiar and safe environment. The sheep station itself covered an enormous area, stretching far beyond the immediate buildings and yards. While it was home to Gus's grandparents, it was also surrounded by rugged terrain, natural hazards, and long distances between neighboring properties. There was no immediate sense of danger. Gus had been seen only moments earlier, and there was no indication he had gone far. But when he failed to respond to calls and could not be found nearby, concern quickly turned into panic. Family members began searching desperately around sheds, vehicles, and pathways Gus often used. They checked water tanks, fences, and nearby open ground, convinced he would appear at any second. As the minutes dragged on with no sign of him, the reality of the situation became clear. The isolation of the property meant outside help was far away, and every passing moment felt heavier than the last. Once authorities were alerted, the seriousness of the situation triggered an immediate response. What began as a local search rapidly expanded into the largest missing person operation in South Australia's history. Police recognized that time was critical, especially given Gus's age and the unforgiving nature of the environment. Resources were deployed on an unprecedented scale. Local officers were joined by specialist search and rescue teams, all working under a centralized command structure designed to cover as much ground as possible. Search zones were mapped, divided into grids, and assigned to teams to ensure no area was overlooked. Aircraft scanned from above while ground teams pushed through scrub and rocky terrain. The scale of the operation reflected both the difficulty of the task and the emotional weight of the case. Officers worked long, exhausting hours under intense pressure, knowing that every decision mattered. The search extended well beyond the immediate area of the sheep station, covering roads, dry creek beds, bushland, and surrounding properties. Despite the massive effort, the sheer size of the land meant progress was slow and physically demanding. The environment itself became one of the greatest obstacles. The South Australian Outback is strikingly beautiful, but it is also harsh and unforgiving. Searchers had to contend with rocky ground, thick vegetation, and uneven surfaces that made movement difficult and dangerous. Extreme weather added to the challenge, with high daytime temperatures followed by cold nights, increasing the risk for both Gus and those searching for him. Visibility was poor in many areas. Tall grass, dense scrub, and natural dips in the land could easily hide a small child. Places that looked open from a distance often revealed hidden hazards up close. Vast distances between landmarks meant there were no clear boundaries, and a child wandering in any direction could quickly be far from where he was last seen. As the search expanded, support poured in from all directions. Volunteers from nearby towns and rural communities stepped forward, offering help and local knowledge. Emergency services joined the effort, including firefighters and ambulance crews trained to operate in dangerous conditions. Experienced trackers were brought in to look for subtle signs in the landscape, disturbed soil, broken branches, or faint impressions others might miss. Technology played a critical role. Drones equipped with cameras scanned large areas from the air, reaching places too difficult for ground teams. Thermal imaging was used in hopes of detecting body heat, particularly during cooler periods. Defense forces also became involved, providing additional personnel, aerial support, and logistical assistance. Their participation underscored just how serious and urgent the situation had become. In the midst of growing concern, a single discovery briefly reignited hope. A boot print believed to belong to Gus was found within the search area. For the first time in days, there was a tangible sign that he had been there. The print suggested movement and direction, offering a possible trail to follow. Search teams focused intensely on the area, expanding their efforts and carefully examining the surrounding ground for more clues. The discovery renewed energy among exhausted searchers and gave the family a moment of renewed hope. But despite careful analysis and repeated efforts, no additional prints or signs were found. The trail appeared to end as suddenly as it had begun, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. As days passed without new clues, authorities were forced to make a difficult shift. While search efforts continued, the focus began to move from an active rescue to a broader investigation. This transition did not mean giving up, but it reflected the reality that immediate answers were becoming less likely. Investigators reviewed timelines, witness statements, and environmental factors in greater detail. They examined how long Gus had been missing, the conditions at the time, and the possible paths he could have taken. Police were careful to emphasize that the case remained open and active, and that every possibility was still being considered. Crucially, authorities found no evidence of abduction, foul play, or criminal involvement. There were no signs of a struggle, no suspicious vehicles, and no credible reports suggesting anyone else was involved. While this narrowed the scope of the investigation, it also deepened the mystery and offered little comfort to those desperate for answers. Searches continued repeatedly in high-risk areas, including dams, water sources, and old mine shafts. These locations were examined carefully, recognizing the danger they posed and their potential to hide evidence. Despite the thoroughness of these efforts, nothing was found. Each search that ended without results added to the weight of the case. As official updates slowed, online speculation filled the void. Social media became flooded with theories and rumors, some driven by genuine concern, others by misinformation. These unverified claims placed additional pressure on investigators and caused further distress for Gus's family, who were already enduring unimaginable pain. Authorities urged the public to rely on confirmed information and to respect the family's privacy. Still, the speculation continued, highlighting the darker side of public attention in high-profile cases. Today, Gus Lamont's disappearance remains one of Australia's most haunting unsolved cases. For Gus's family, the pain has never faded, but neither has the belief that the truth will one day be known. For the nation, the case stands as a powerful reminder of how quickly ordinary moments can turn into lasting mysteries, and how the determination to seek answers can endure long after the search teams leave the land behind.